G is here. We're back with another episode of Coach G's Radical Man Show. Today we got episode 8, people, and we're going to talk about something pretty special to me, something that's going to be really important to you in making that leap, especially what we discussed yesterday and how to work that second thought when our first thoughts are going crazy. So just a little bit of a recap, right? Yesterday, we talked about the 4 deadly thoughts. We talked about how we did a recap on the 4 deadly thoughts. And we also talked about the one tool to help us out is that first thought wrong, second thought right. Well, here's the deal. How do you come up with the second thought? A lot of us maybe haven't had experiences. A lot of us maybe haven't had the right, coaching or training or whatever the case might be, to be able to say that, you know what, okay, this is where I'm going to automatically go when it comes to that second thought. The second thought used to kill me a lot. It used to kill me a lot because I didn't know what to believe as my second thought. I didn't know what was a real thought for me. A better way of putting it, and more so to the point of today's topic, is that I didn't understand what to trust. And I need you all to understand trust is going to be the key to your second thought being right. Being right. Now, how many of you all are probably like me? You either are the person or you know of people who have said, you know what, I just don't trust a lot of people. I don't trust easily. I don't trust a lot of people. I'm not very trusting. All those things, right? And normally, where does that come from? That comes from our experiences. Mainly, it's coming from people that we've interacted with, right? I mean, it's not like we walk away with a lack of trust from technology, if you will. Like, you may have a preference to a particular brand kind of deal, Droid versus iPhone, Mac versus Dell, those things may exist, but we're all still moving into the place of technology. We pretty much understand that, okay, we got to trust this to a certain degree. I mean, heck, I don't care if you're the guy that says I never talk on the cell phone. You get in the car. You operate somehow with technology. You got to engage in it, right? Now, here's the deal about trust and what I had to learn about trust. Trust is a word that we're introduced to. It's one of the many words that we, especially men, we get introduced to, and we don't really understand what it is. We have a concept, we have an idea, we got a particular way of thinking around that word. Rarely do we actually know what the word means. I mean, look, it's almost like talking about the word bitch. Immediately, thoughts of, derogatory statements, women, all these things come to mind, and actually that has nothing to do with the word bitch. It means to whine and complain. Right? So, again, we get caught up in a lot of language, and very rarely do we understand the definition and what it exactly is. And if we don't know what it exactly is, then we can't really do it to the fullest of the ability that it's needed to be done. Like if I was told that, listen, the way you walk is move one foot in front of the other. Okay? I can slide both my feet on the ground like I'm sitting here skating on concrete. That's not really walking. I need someone to be able to tell me left foot rises while the right foot stays planted on the ground. Sometimes you got to talk to me like I'm a third grader. So let's kind of have that experience today. I won't talk to you guys like you're third graders. But let's talk about trust and how that's going to be the key to your second thought. And again, this isn't just about dealing with addiction. Let's talk about every part of your life. Every part of your life, you got to have a level of trust. And we're going to talk about what that trust needs to look like today. So let's talk about it first. What is the definition of trust? Here's what trust is. It's the assured reliance on the character, ability, and strength, or the truth of someone or something. Now, I'm not necessarily a big fan of that definition, mainly for the end part of it, because it kind of includes the word that we're trying to define. We want to get as much clarity as possible when we're looking at it. So if we go a little bit further, we'll find out that it's about with an individual or an event in which confidence and dependence is placed on someone or something in the future. Let's talk about that again. It's where an individual or an event in which confidence and dependence is placed on someone or something in the future. See, I like that one. That tells you that it's a level of confidence and dependence I got to place on someone or something that's going to somehow impact my future. We may even think about it like being the right now, but right now is literally right now. We're looking in the future right now. I don't care if that's like 10 seconds in the future. But that's what we're talking about when we talk about trust. So now that we understand the definition of trust, we got to go to the next part and now understand what exactly do we got to trust. Listen, this is what kills us. We go around thinking that we should trust any and everything, and at no point in time has that thinking ever manifested for anyone. Like to say that I openly and blindly trust every single person I'm around. What it really amounts to is that we probably have such a bad issue or relationship with trust is because we have more than likely placed trust in the wrong individuals or trusted people beyond their capacity. I want you to think about that. And look, man, let's just go ahead and talk about it right now. I mean, again, I'll state it until you prove me wrong, but I don't know too many women who married us. Our spouses are with us not trusting what we did today, but they're with us trusting the potential of what we're going to be able to do. Like, we may walk that aisle and we think about just walking the aisle, getting to the honeymoon. Women have walked that aisle and said, okay, this man's going to be able to not just take care of my needs, but he'll provide for the children, and he'll put us in a good home, and he'll keep us safe, and he'll do all these different things. He won't abuse, he won't neglect, he won't mistreat, he won't harm, he won't hurt, he won't leave and abandon. All these things. That's trust placed in someone. That's a level of confidence and dependency on someone in the future. So we got to understand that. So let's break down the three areas. There's three areas of trust that we got to have. This isn't about trusting everybody. Listen to me. I'm telling you this right now. No, you don't trust everybody. But you got to know what to trust, especially if you're really trying to be a top performer. I don't care if that's like in your industry or just simply as you being a man. Like, at the end of the day, I just need to be the best absolute version of George, and that only happens if I'm trusting the right things. And the best version of George creates the best version of George as a dad, as a husband, as a coach, as a speaker, as an author. All of that comes from being able to trust the best version of George. Not the best version, but the version of George. So let's talk about that. The first area of trust is going to be about you. And let me tell you right now, this is the most important area. You can't go out here trusting your next door neighbor, your friend, more than you trust yourself. Does this mean that, again, let's just switch gears a little bit. Maybe you're dealing with a compulsive habit right now. So there's parts of you that, you can't trust yourself to do, and you have to depend on other people. But listen, that's still trusting you. You see, the biggest thing about trusting you is that you got to trust you of today, not you of the best case, best potential. Look, I'm trying to engage in a couple different workout programs, and the one thing that I have to consistently break through in my workout routine is that I can't look at this based on how I performed in high school or in college. It's one of the first thoughts that enter my head. That first wrong thought. And because I'm not performing like I performed in high school or college, the action says that, well, you know what? Just go ahead and stop then. Maybe something's not clicking right. Maybe something's not working right. But that's not the truth. The truth is I got to trust myself today. Today, I'm not the guy in high school or in college. I've gone through horrible living. I've smoked a hell of a lot. I've taken a lot of drugs. I've mistreated my body religiously for years. And now I'm thinking I'm going to be able in a matter of days, weeks, or months, because of what my potential was, snap back into that. You see, that'll set me up for failure, and that's going to set you guys up for failure as well. You got to trust yourself of today. And if today says, you know what, this is what I can do and this is what I cannot do, then that's what it is. It doesn't mean it's not going to get better. It doesn't mean it's not going to improve. But again, this is about you looking at this what? We talked about this yesterday, right? Mindfully. This is mindful awareness you are practicing right now. Some of these things are going to hurt when you realize, you know what? Hey, I mean, look at me, guys. I'm bald. This is like 40% choice, 60% genetics. Like, bald was going to happen. I had no choice about it. But I kept going to the barber shop just trying to get this haircut, trusting that, hey, look, man, my hairline's going to come back. Just be a little bit easy on it. My barber steadily telling me, like, it's not happening. It's not happening. You got to trust today. Trust today. I used to have so many body issues about myself. Like, when I used to go and get a tattoo, I never got a tattoo, quote, well, at least telling the guy, but they always did great work for me no matter what I said. I would tell them crazy things like, look, I'm small now, but I'm going to get bigger. So, like, can you make sure the tattoo isn't going to look all crazy on me if I get big? Because I'm going to get bigger. So I need you to give me a tattoo based on that as opposed to right now. Doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense with your finances. What is it right now? Trust that about you right now. The next area of trust, brothers, is that we got to learn to trust the opportunity. So realize, I want to make sure we go through this real quickly. Stay with me. We trust first who? You. Next, who are we trusting? The opportunity. The opportunity, you have to understand, the opportunity is probably, you know, is not as important as you trusting yourself. That is most paramount. But the opportunity, there are too many of us who sit around and we expect the opportunity to come to us. The one thing you got to know when you're trusting an opportunity is that you got to go and seek the opportunity. Opportunities have to be sought. Opportunities will not just come to you. You have to be in like the right environment, the right mode of action for an opportunity to be able to manifest. And here's the deal about an opportunity, guys. It's rarely going to look how you expect it to look. It's not going to be in the way it used to be. I used to do door-to-door sales. Like, I don't care what type of sales you ever deal with, the, you know, car sales guy, the, you know, maybe the on-the-phone telemarketer. You can't tell me what I did was not the hardest form of sales, period. And not only that, it was possibly the most humbling thing that I've ever had to do professionally. I just got done, well, not just got done, but I was coming out of a career of like about 15 years of working in social services. I mean, I get to dress a certain way. I work inside of buildings. I'm interacting with people who want to interact with me. And now I'm sitting here knocking on doors for about 10, 12 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week, 12 months a year. Summertime, wintertime, rainy season, didn't matter. I was on doors. And I got to tell you guys, like, I hated it. When I first had that job, I hated the job. But I soon found out about the opportunity. Now see, here's the deal. Even with that opportunity, I had to go and look for it. Like, I was at the interview. I had nothing. And they told me something. They gave me a bill of goods. If anybody's familiar with sales, you all know what that script is going to be like when you first get in there. And because it was my first time dealing with sales, then, forgive me guys, because it was my first time dealing with sales, the script sounded good. Oh, bro, you're making about, you know, $600 to $1,000 a week. You know, that's just starting out. Me making close to about $10,000 to $20,000 a month. And it just kept going. And I said, that's the opportunity. And guys, that's just all I went after, was the opportunity. I had to just humble myself and say, you know what? If the opportunity is going to come like this, and this is how it's going to come. And here's the deal. I held that job longer probably than any other job I had up until that point in time. That job afforded me the opportunity to not just provide for my family, but also to develop a work ethic that previously I hadn't had before. Like, that was probably one of my wife's biggest concerns, aside from me acting out and being compulsive with my habits, was that she's like, you just don't have a work ethic, George, and I know this isn't who I married, and you're supposed to have this ethic about you. I don't think you even have a work ethic. And the truth of the matter is, I didn't. The next part about the opportunity, and I touched on already just about being humble, is that you have to be able to mindfully separate your emotions from the opportunity. You have to be able to mindfully separate your emotions from the opportunity. Again, guys, I've mentioned it before, right? I mean, my family, my wife, my children, they're getting ready to fly out of here first of the month, August, and they're going to get out of here and they're going to get on a plane and go to Vegas to start a brand new life. And I got to tell you something. What I've most admired about my wife in this process is that she just knew, she just trusted the opportunity of this. I can't, guys, listen, the United States, like, despite all the pieces being debated and all and on, but someone wanted to seek an opportunity. And now we're here. So many things began out of nothing and uncertainty, but just the opportunity. But if you can't separate your emotions, like my wife, it's amazing because I would almost consider her like, you know, more emotional than me, but I know I got my emotions as well. But I'm almost ready to lose my top over this, and she is as even-minded as I've ever witnessed her ever in her life. Just clear about it. It's trusting the opportunity. Last area of trust. You got to trust leadership. You have to trust your leadership. Here's the thing you want to understand about leadership, guys. And this kind of connects also with the opportunity. First thing I want you guys to understand that it's just very fleeting. Like, leadership ain't around long. That's why they got books. That's why they got tapes out. It's not a lot of people that actively get out and just promote themselves as leaders, and they're not always where you expect them to be. We may expect leaders to be within our particular field of employment. Like, ideally, your boss should be your leader. That's not necessarily the case. Men, ideally, we should be the leaders in our home. Let's be honest, that's not always the case. We have to understand that there are times we have to be able to seek outside of where we are for the leadership that we need. Guys, this is about you willfully accepting the fact that all of us must be led at all points in our life by someone. Like, there is no point that we ever reach that says, I'm done with leadership. And the reason why we got to understand why leadership is so important for you to trust your leadership is because they have already traveled the path you're attempting to go. In whatever area of your life that might be. When I made the decision to say I'm going to walk away from a full-time career in sales and I'm now going to be a full-time coach helping men, and it ain't going to come with a salary or nothing along those lines, I had to trust my leaders. First up, Craig. Then I jumped out to the leader of the Champion Army, Victor Bell. I mean, these are men that I trust. You know, when I wanted to become a professional speaker, an author, I had to trust my leader, Brian Thomas. These men, number one, they're not always available, but they make time. That's number one. Number two about these leaders is that they have very little time for problems. They have all the time in the world, though, I've come to realize, to think about what the solutions are. What does that mean? They don't have time for you to just call them and say, look, I need to vent about blah, 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 blah. They got time for you to say, look, this is what I'm dealing with right now. This is what I'm thinking about doing. I would like your input on this. Here's the last thing I had to understand about leaders, guys. And it's very tricky because the more you become involved with your leaders, this dynamic begins to happen. But your leaders aren't your friends. And it is so important that you understand that. You can have a very friendly relationship. I mean, I got leaders, every leader that I just mentioned, I consider them literally almost like a brother. But there's a part of me that has to understand that when I'm communicating with them, that they're going to sometimes have to speak to me in a way that's not maybe going to always be friendly. It's not going to come across all nice and neatly packaged for them because we're boys. Because, you know, we value the fact that, hey, I want to pick up the phone and talk to you a little bit later and shoot the shit. That's not what leaders are about. Leaders are about giving you the information, how you need to get it, and how they need to deliver it, and how they best know how to deliver it. They're not going to conform their message to you. That's what makes them a leader. Now, here's what I want us to understand. 3 areas of trust we've talked about so far, right? We've talked about trusting you. We've talked about trusting leaders. We've talked about trusting the opportunity. Any part of this say trust every person we grew up with? No. Any part of this say trust everybody in my family? Or how about I trust everybody that I'm friends with on social media? Look, I'll take it a step further. If you're in a relationship where you can't see an opportunity or leadership, why are you in it? Like, what are you really there? What are you really trusting at that point in time from that individual? And this isn't about a take relationship. They should be able to trust the exact same things from you. This operates both ways. But a lot of us, so many times, we're so caught up and we get so hurt and we get so dejected. And don't get me wrong, failures, setbacks, bad business relationships, they all happen. But the majority of them have happened because we have had our trust simply placed in the wrong individuals. We've trusted the coworker when we shouldn't have trusted the coworker. We've trusted the supervisor when we shouldn't have trusted the supervisor. We've trusted our family who loves us, who wants nothing but the best for us, but they're not a leader in any area that we're trying to navigate and move to. As a matter of fact, if you ever try to move into an area where none of your family has been to, they're probably the main ones saying, why don't you go back and do this? You see, it's your leaders who are going to be able to say, listen, your family's going to tell you that. They still love you. But this is how the only way they know how to show love for somebody who's going to a place they've never been. It's going to come out like this. See, only your leaders can tell you that and keep you invested in this short-term opportunity that you're going to be involved in, so you can keep trusting yourself in the now while you get better each and every day. So now let's bring this back to where this all started. How does trust help to recreate our second thoughts and make our thoughts right so we can move into the right action? Right? Let's jump into it. Let's just pull up some scenarios right now. I mean, hey, you guys make comments for me. Tell me some of the bad thoughts you guys have had to deal with, and then now how you can change them with trusting yourself, leadership, or the opportunity. You know, I'll never forget, I hit a bad patch just financially. I was like, you know what? I need to just go ahead and pack up this whole coaching game. It's time for me to stop with this. I mean, after all, I was making, like almost $50,000 a year, which is pretty decent for me at the time, in my last career, and I'm not quite measuring up like that right now, so maybe I should just go back. And again, if I trust myself, then myself says that, you know what, 50,000, that was at a whole nother place. You've only been operating in this field for X amount of time. And trusting myself says that, you know what, when I operated for X amount of months in my last career, I was almost at like kind of the same place I am right now, still trying to figure this thing out. So now trusting myself says that, you know what, I don't got to look at what the potential is I should be doing based on what I had already done. I'm looking at what I'm doing right now. So right now, am I taking every advantage I am to be able to earn a living from this career path? And honestly, some majority of the time, hands down, it's been no. Those moments of doubt came from when I'm just sitting there twiddling my thumbs. So once I begin to start trusting myself about what can I do right now, like I can't set up a green room right now. I'm talking to you guys right now in my car. You see me in about 3 or 4 different settings, and we're only in the second week of this show. I gotta trust the now. And the now says, okay, George, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And here's what's the irony of this. The moment I start saying, what can I do now? That's when income materializes. When I say, what can I start doing now about relationships for trusting myself? That's when my relationship gets better with my wife and with my children. When I say, it's not about where my body was, what can I do now? That's my body starts taking a greater step. When I get frustrated, even spiritually, and saying, I used to be the guy that was in church like almost, 3-4 times a week, and now, now. And I'm that much better. Same thing, trusting your leadership. Can I tell you how key it is for you guys to have the leadership to have your second thoughts? My leaders have literally given me my second thoughts. No, George, it's not the right way you want to think about that. When it came to me writing a book, came to me doing my speeches, I want to do this, I want to do this. No, it's not the way you want to think about that. Oh, it's not? Why shouldn't I? I mean, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Well, no, because what you want to do is be able to do this, this, and this. And you want to move in this direction. Now, if you're willing to do that, you're willing to trust me in this, then we can keep talking. But if not, and you want to go your way about it because you think you may know better, then we can go ahead and hang up the phone. I'll go back to what I was doing. You go back to doing your thing. Leaders. In the opportunity. I remember when I was doing the door-to-door sales, it's hot. I'm away from my family. I'm away from my wife. I'm away from my kids. Trust the opportunity. My opportunity was for me to go out here, protect the family with the security system I was selling at the time, for me to go out here and earn a great income at the exact same time, for me to be able to provide a lifestyle for my family that I had not yet been able to. Guys, listen. You want to learn how to get that right second thought? It's about trust. Trust. Now here's the last part, but it's definitely not the least part about trust. You see, one thing that I began to learn about trust is that trust helped me to eliminate probably the biggest thing that was holding me back. Fear. I learned very quickly that trusting myself, leadership, and the opportunity, that eliminates fear. I was in Hawaii, and I had the opportunity to be able to jump out of a plane. Now, some of you guys are looking and say, well, wow, you jumped out of a plane. But you got to understand, number one, Coach G, scared of heights. Don't do bridges. Like, I'm the guy, heart beats fast, driving over bridges. You have no idea. Like, I almost have to pull over. I let a little tear out every now and then kind of deal. And I had no idea that jumping out of an airplane was part of this coaching experience that I was receiving. And to make it even worse, we show up and I watch a video that says, look, if you die, your family can't sue us. And then I get strapped into my harness. I get a 5-minute tutorial on literally how to jump out of an airplane. The guy that's strapped to me, he literally looks like Shaggy from the Scooby-Doo show, and this guy he smells like some of Hawaii's finest Mary Jane. And I'm like, are you serious? We're walking to a plane that looked the size of some cars. The door is shaped like a garage door. It just slides open. They take off. The garage door is up. I'm sitting at the very front row. I'm going to be the first one that has to jump out of this plane. Everything is running right through me. Everything is going crazy through me. But then I jump. And when I jumped, that's when it all went away. And on top of jumping and it went away, I probably experienced the greatest sight ever. And here's what I understood about the relationship between fear and trust, and that whole piece about jumping. It's not that you jump so that you aren't so that you can get to the next place. You have to jump and appreciate the view. And the only way you get to even begin to do any of that is just by having trust. Listen, guys, that's our show today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of this. Remember, guys, stay tuned for us Monday through Friday, 11:15 to 11:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Coach G's out. We'll see you tomorrow. Remember, guys, kick ass. Peace.